Hey guys, Hangam here, and today we're going to be talking about logbook and the importance of it, why we do it, and just to make sure that you understand the why before the what, because I think a lot of times maybe you're asked to do different things and you don't fully understand and grasp the why, and that's why you're not doing maybe the excellent job that's required in the what. So we want to make sure you understand why we do what we do in this company. Obviously, as always, if you have any questions, come to us, and we're always open to hearing your feedback on it. But today, I'm going to talk about logbooks a little bit. So logbooks is ultimately reporting. We are reporting on stuff. We're looking back, reporting. Also, we're looking ahead a little bit. So it's a reporting tool as well as a communication tool. When you're looking ahead, it's a communication tool ultimately among the management team. And when you're looking back, it's kind of a reporting thing. Logbook is seen by not everybody in the company. It is only seen by people who have been given permission to see it. And those people are official leads and official managers, as well as Matt and I. So we are the people who see the logbook, not everybody. So if you think about, oh, hey, I'm going to talk about Susan and Susan reads what I'm right now, it's not, regular team members do not see that aspect. So there is that. Reporting, I'm going to emphasize that it's a very important aspect of the job. And you're like, okay, well, let's think about other jobs. Are there other jobs where reporting is very critical? Yes. Police officers. It doesn't matter how phenomenal of a police officer you are. Every incident, you gave somebody a ticket, afterwards you sit in your car and do a reporting on what happened, what you saw, what you did. You told them this, they told you that, right? There is very thorough reporting. If there is an accident, you go on site. You have to interview each person involved in the accident and thoroughly document what you saw and what you did and why you did it and all of that. Same as nurses or doctors. Every time a nurse needs to go in and visit a patient, sometimes every hour, sadly, I've been in that shoe, every hour they come in and they check your basic vitals, which is your blood pressure, your temperature, and things like that. They have to do it every hour. They will do it every hour. And there is a documentation at the end of it where they say pulse was this, temperature was that. You know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter how phenomenal of a nurse you are or a doctor. Doctor's the same thing. Every time they see a patient, they have to document things. It could be digital or on paper. Again, it doesn't matter how phenomenal your performance is. If you don't do reporting, you could very well get terminated in those jobs as well as this job. One of the reasons is that, did it even happen? So if a nurse is like, oh, I did check the vitals every hour, but if you didn't document it, did it really happen or it didn't happen? Correct. So I wanted to emphasize this is not new. We're not asking you something that is outrageous. Teachers do reports. There are a lot of different positions that people do reports. I want you to feel like a police officer. I want you to feel like a nurse or a doctor as you learn to do this when it comes to reporting. The next aspect of the logbook is that you are telling other people how to perceive you. And that's a very important thing for you to think about. How are you perceived as a leader among the leadership team? Does it seem as though you're carrying a heavy load or you're not carrying a heavy load? We don't know unless you tell us what you've been doing. So that's part of the reporting. It's not this extra task you need to do, but you're telling the management team what you've been doing, that you've been working your butt off, which is in many cases, obviously a lot of folks in our leadership team, but nobody knows about what you've been doing. Then in that case, we're going to perceive and assume that it get done, or maybe it did or it did not get done. So you're telling us how to perceive your performance. We've always had this thing in the company. If it's not on 7 shifts, it never existed. It never happened, right? Whether it's people putting their off requests, if it's you verbally told me, and if it's not in 7 shifts, it never happened. Same as if you do not report on stuff, then I'm going to assume it did or it did not get done. I'm going to assume it did not get done because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Brag about what you did. If you did deep clean the water heater closet, thank you, Caitlin. You did that this last time. If you did make the time and deep clean the water heater closet, brag about it. Say that, oh, the water heater got cleaned up. John and Susan helped me out and it took us 2 hours. We really, whatever. Take before and after pictures and post it. Brag about what you did in the logbook. Create a little bit of that peer pressure within the management team that people are going to be, oh, wow, Daniel's when he's on the shift, he's really keeping team productive. He's really getting people to deep cleans. I better get myself together and make sure that's happening, right? Or whenever Izzy is on the shift, she's reporting on all these trainings that's getting done. Maybe I need to do more of that. I'm not getting people trained, it seems. You know what I mean? So that healthy peer pressure is actually very good. And again, you're manipulating in a positive way how we perceive you. So that is very important. So we want to read in the logbook that you're like, I trained Susan on how to sweep. I trained John on how to do dishes. He was a little bit slow on dishes because he stood there, holding a fork with water, and I made the time to explain. So that tells me you cared, you trained people. 5 batches of dough got done today. So brag about, or 7, who knows? Or we did 2 batches. Hey guys, we were not able to do it because we were short staffed. At night they did 1 batch by Marcus. I don't know, I'm making stuff up. So brag about what you did. Another one is like, oh, there was an issue with a customer, and, they did not have ranch on their order, and they called, complained about it. And I took their call, and we did this, and we solved the thing, and customer was very happy. If you did something for a customer, why would you hide it? Why would you not tell us about it? Brag about it in the logbook. Here's the thing. One day you're going to come up, ask for a raise. We're going to put your name and see what you've been doing. And I can be like, oh, wow, as a lead or as a manager, look at John, and I'm making stuff up with John, right? Look at John. He's been training people consistently. He's been reporting on the way he's been caring for customers consistently. He's been getting people to do deep cleaning consistently. But if I don't know, and if you're coming up and asking for a raise, or you're like, oh, I think I should be I'm a lead, I want to be a manager, and there's no reporting on what you've been doing, how are we going to know what you've been doing? If you do not take logbook serious, you're telling us that you're not taking your job serious. It tells us if you embody the values of the company. So for instance, how obsessed we are in this company when it comes to training. I ask about it. I mean, it's a currency in this company. You want to have leverage over anything with Matthew and I. You want us to be on our good side. I want to see people getting trained. I'm very open about it. I tell people all the time. And yet there is not as much reporting when it comes to people getting trained. I trained so-and-so on iced tea. I trained this one on jump 2. Why are we not doing that, friend? Brag about it, about the training. It tells me you understand what we value in this company as a manager, that we're in the same page. You understand that training matters, and you are the kind of leader that creates leaders and not followers, because that is not great leadership when you just want to be followed, when you just want to be liked, but rather you're the kind of a person that up-levels people around you, that when people are around you, they grow in their skill set and in their leadership. Another one is that you understand the problems in the business. So for instance, right now we're going through shortage of staff season, and we kind of go through that every 3 months. You interviewed somebody. I interviewed Susan. She's asked, she's for a gem position. She was good. I've scheduled her for onboarding tomorrow at 5 p.m. and it's done. So I know, okay, this person got interviewed. John was scheduled at 3 p.m. He did not show up. Okay. So that tells me you understand the problem, the pain, it keeps us awake at night. It keeps me awake at night. This morning at 2 a.m. I was thinking about it. Where are all the staff? Are we interviewing or whatever? You're leaving us in limbo, not knowing what's going on. Brag about it. About the training, tell us that you understand the problems of the business. In this case, that we need people interviewed, we need people hired. Tell us about it. Another one is that it tells us that you are courageous to have hard conversations. So when you're like, oh, hey, Riley was late 15 minutes and I had a verbal conversation. Hey, man, on a Saturday morning, I'm making stuff up. On a Friday morning, we have the buffet. You cannot come in at 10:20. You're going to set the whole team up for failure. So I had that conversation with Riley verbal. And maybe it happens again. I had the conversation with Riley 2 weeks ago. So since he was late again, I gave him a coaching slip that is unacceptable. If you're in a leadership position or you're a seasoned employee and respected, you cannot be late. And whatever it was. Or I had it because his mom was sick. That's what it was. But that tells me that you are courageous enough to have hard conversation and document it. Whoa, you blow our mind that you were able to do that. Or hypothetically, Sarah has been sick, as an example. Sarah was sick. She called the restaurant at 10:30 or sent me a message on 7 shifts, and so-and-so came and covered for it, and we took care of this. I told Sarah she needs to let me know that if she could come in tomorrow and she needs to cover her shift. Or for example, if I were to look up Sarah, can I see on the logbook all the days that she missed her shift or not? That is the question. Was she there? Was she not there? We won't know. if it's not on the logbook, so that's another problem. If somebody's tardy, if somebody does not show up for their shift, you need to log it in the logbook. You did deep cleaning, brag about it. Oh, we scrubbed under this. We moved all the tables and chairs and we scrubbed under them. Fantastic. That warms my heart. I appreciate that. You know, why wouldn't you brag about it, friend? Just brag about it. It also tells us and your management team how you think critically as a manager or as a leader. And that is, for example, you're like, hey, there was an order for Cormark today and the $10 delivery fee was not on the ticket. I noticed that. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Thank you for checking that and noticing it, knowing that sometimes that is a problem. So you were on top of it and you checked it. Okay, checklist, check thing number one. And you saw that I'm making stuff up, but like Avery was the server on the ticket. I spoke with Avery and she fair enough did not know. Then I proceeded in creating a team memo to make sure all the new gems that have been hired know that there is a $10 delivery fee and and how to locate the button that is to add the $10. So it tells me not only you observed a problem, you went to figure out and investigate what went wrong. And not only that, you looked ahead and you thought critically to make sure to avoid this mistake again. And you proceeded with creating a team memo and you bragged about it in the logbook. You're going to get yourself a lot of brownie points when you think like that, when you process to solve problems in the company and bettering, obviously, the performance of the whole team. You are expected, if you are a manager, especially, to read the logbook from days that you were not at the store. So you know what's going on. Hypothetically, you're like, on Sunday, I don't know, like Vanessa says, oh, the food order was done, but there was a sausage substitute problem. So I ordered sausage from Cisco. It's going to come in Thursday. Again, something like that. So you need to be in the loop as to what's been going on, right? So, or the inventory got done, but the invoices are not done. So can a manager on Monday morning take care of that? Oh, okay. So make the time to read the logbook from the days that you were not there. And also, obviously, days that you were there, but the leads, for example, you work in the kitchen and the leads in the front put data in the logbook that maybe you are not aware of because you're not in the front, and you need to study all of those, investigate to make sure they were taken care of and how they were taken care of to the standard of the company. So again, you tell people what to think of you as a leader. And you have an opportunity to shift the way others think about you as a leader within our leadership and management team. Be the example that others would want to follow. This is not new. Lead by example. If you are a lead and you're watching this video, it's because you are expected to do logbooks because you are aware of certain aspects of the restaurant in a shift that maybe a manager is not aware of. So you're expected to, for example, if you work Gem 5 as a Gem lead, report on the things you observed. There was a customer issue, how you took care of it and what happened and things of that nature. A manager may not know those things happening, or you are a tech lead and you're like, okay, well, we're out of jalapenos. We're for example, right? We're out of jalapenos. So Vanessa the next day comes in and she knows that we're out of jalapenos to make sure to add that to the food order. So if you're a tech lead, you add those things. Or the performance of the team around you is also important. So you have always a verbal conversation with the manager. For example, if I'm a tech lead and there is a manager who's working in the kitchen, I can be like, hey, I'm taking care of this aspect. Are you taking care of that aspect? So there can be that verbal dialogue as to who's doing what. If you are a lead, you're asked to do logbooks, certain aspects of it. But if you are a manager, you're held accountable. It is ultimately your role to do the reporting. It's like a nurse whatever, like a person who assists the nurse, something, I don't know what they're called in the thing, but the nurse itself. So like you are the doctor, you must do the reporting. If you are a manager, we need to hear from you on a shift because that tells me how you led the shift and you're there telling us what went good, what went bad. And not only that, what did you do to fix it? We're not expecting the shift to go good and dandy. We live on planet Earth. We're not expecting perfection. We do, however, expect progress. So do your best to improve your performance 1% every single shift. So just because you've been doing logbook the same way, why don't you up-level your game? Why don't you say a little bit more? Why don't you put more into it? Last but not least, the reason we have the logbook is because you won't be able to do a good job on the logbook if you do not come into the shift prepared and with a plan. You have no reporting to give on training because you did not plan training ahead of time. There is no reporting maybe on the deep cleaning or maintenance or the oven fan belt because you didn't come into the shift with a game plan. Oh, wait a minute. The sink under the sink area is incredibly nasty. When there is that moment, I'm going to go with a driver. I'm going to get a couple drivers to come help me clean that aspect. I'm going to get into it for 10 to 15 minutes and I'm going to ask them to finish it so I can move on and go help in another area of the kitchen. So you go report that in the logbook because you had a game plan ahead of time. So you need to be proactive in order to do a good job in the logbook. So it's not a task in itself, but rather it's just, again, it reflects on what kind of a leader you are on the shift. Now with that, let's get into the logbook and the different sections we have in the logbook and why we have what we have.